Hey everyone, thank you for joining me, Just Jameka, once again on my channel. So first off, I want to say this was not clickbait. Chamillionaire really did call me, and I'm going to get right into the story so you guys can, find out how this all went down. So this started when I went to my first duty station, and I was in Albuquerque, New Mexico. For those who don't know, I am in the military, so just want to put that out there. So yeah, I was at my first duty station, a young airman, and I worked in records at the time in a hospital. So, they had the radio going in the background, which, is pretty much every office these days. You have the radio going or whatever music you have on. So that was going on. And I also want to mention, I lived in Georgia for 6 years, and they used to call me, my family used to call me Radio Queen, because I used to win multiple times off of like every station there was, whether it was an R&B station, hip hop, rock and roll, country. If I was listening to it and they had a giveaway or they needed, the ninth caller or whatever, it was me almost 85-90% of the time winning. So anyway, so I'm in Albuquerque, New Mexico, like I said, and I'm working on records. They have a radio playing in the background. I don't remember what station it was, but the DJ gets on and he says, Chamillionaire is coming to town. Ninth caller, call in for free tickets. And so I was just like, oh my gosh, here we go again. I want to be Radio Queen in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Albuquerque, New Mexico. So I call in over and over and over and over, like you do, and I ended up being a ninth caller. So I'm all excited, ecstatic, and he's, the DJ is like, what's your name? I tell him my name, and he takes all my information, and like he stated also on the radio before, he told me, watch out or look out or listen out for your name. He reminded me, just like he said on the radio before, all winners of the free tickets for Chamillionaire's concert would get put into a drawing, and whoever's name they drew, I think he was going to draw like 1 or 2 names, but he said to listen out for your name next Thursday, because then we might possibly draw your name and you have to call in within 3 minutes of them drawing to win backstage passes. So I go back to work, and let's fast forward to the next Thursday. So that's the day that the DJ was saying to keep the radio on, be near it, because if we draw your name, you have 3 minutes to call to get backstage. So Chamillionaire was actually in the studio on that day, and so they did like a small interview with him. So it was time to go to lunch. And my boyfriend at the time, who's my husband now, but my boyfriend at the time came to get me for lunch, and we, usually got an hour for lunch. So we get in a car, and I'm just like, hurry, 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 hurry. Get in the car, turn the radio on. They might call, they might draw my name. So we listen to the radio for, we're driving around. And we listened for like half an hour, and they actually drew like 2 or 3 names, and no one called back in. So my boyfriend at the time was like, he said, why don't you call the radio station and let them know that, hey, somebody said you drew my name, and see where it goes. And I was like, there's no way I'm gonna do that. I mean, obviously they're gonna know they didn't draw my name once I tell them. And he was like, why don't you just do it anyway? You never know. And so he basically talked me into doing it. So I call up to the radio station, and they pick up, or the DJ picks up, and he's like, whatever radio station it was. I explained to them that, hey, I heard somebody said that you guys drew my name, and I want to see if that was true so I can win my backstage passes. And so he asked me for my name. I told him my name, and he put me on hold for a second, and he came back to the phone and said, no, I'm sorry, we didn't draw your name. Maybe check back next time or wait a little longer to see if we do draw your name. So I was like, oh, okay. I was all bummed out, but I was like, at least I tried, So I hung up the phone, and we start driving back to the parking lot to go back to work. And a few minutes went by, I'd say like 5 minutes went by before I was getting ready to get out of the car, and my phone rings. And so I'm like looking at my phone, I'm like, you know, I don't recognize this number. I don't even know if it was a number I didn't recognize or if it said unknown or whatnot, but I went ahead and answered it, and on the other end it was a guy who was like, you know, had deep voice, and he said, "This is the IRS." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "You owe us some money." And I was like, "Okay." And so I was like, "Okay, who's playing on the phone?" And he started laughing, and he was like, "This is Chamillionaire." And I was like, "What?" And it was honestly Chamillionaire calling from the station. So I guess they figured the people they were drawing didn't call back. I guess they weren't listening to the radio or whatnot, but since I had called in earlier and gave them my name, and they saw that I was an actual winner for, you know, the concert tickets, I guess they figured, well, we'll just call her back and say that she won the backstage passes. So that's what they did, and Chamillionaire was on the other line, and I was just freaking out. And so yeah, so that happened, and he asked me, you know, who I was bringing. And I said, "Oh, I'm gonna bring my boyfriend." And he, you know, was like, "Oh man, I'm disappointed." And I was like, "Why?" He was like, "I thought you were gonna say I was gonna bring my girls." And I was, you know, we were like laughing. And so that happened, and then I was on cloud nine, like for the rest of the day. I went to work, I was cheesing. I was like, I can't believe not only did I win concert tickets, I won backstage tickets to see Chamillionaire. So that's crazy. So anyway, later that day, I went back to the dorms because that's where I stayed at the time. My boyfriend stayed in an apartment. So I get to the dorms, and my girlfriend that was next door to me, we were connected by a bathroom. So they basically called anyone in the dorms that were next door neighbors connected to a bathroom suite mates. So we'll call my roommate Sheena. So Sheena comes by, you know, I told her everything that happened, and she was so excited for me, and we started talking about like concerts in general, and she let me know that some way, shape, or form, every concert that she goes to, she always gets backstage. And I was like, "Oh, okay, good for you." She was like, "Yeah." And I was like, you know, I didn't really question her about it. She just said, you know, I always get backstage, like every concert. So I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And so I was still on cloud nine about my tickets. You know, I'm like, I don't know about you or how you do it, but I've secured I'm definitely getting back there. I got my backstage passes. So yeah, so Saturday comes, I think it was like Friday or Saturday when they had the concert. My boyfriend comes, and Sheena is there. Sheena rides in with me, and my boyfriend just meets up with us at the where they were holding the concert. So I'm not really a big rap fan at all. Like, I don't listen to rap often, but I won the free concert tickets to the show, so I was like, why not go? You know, it may be exciting. So we get in there, and it was so rowdy, you guys. Like, I can't start to tell you how crazy it was in there. And I guess that's what happens at a rap concert. That was my first rap concert, so I don't know. But people were fighting left and right. A guy literally got knocked out right in front of me. I don't even know what he did. But it got really bad. It got so bad that whoever was on stage at the time had to stop the concert and say, you know, basically chill out, you guys. And I remember whoever it was said, you know, this has got to go down in the Guinness Book of World Records for the most fights at a concert. And so yeah, so all that happened, and finally the DJ from the radio station got on the mic, and he said, for those who have your backstage passes, who won, basically go to the left of the stage, and you know, your name should be on a clipboard. So we rush over there, well, we're trying to push our way over there, and you know, the bouncers, the security were already upset about, you know, throwing people out left and right for fights and this, that, and the other. So they were really charged and amped up. So we finally get to the bodyguard over by the backstage door, and you know, before we even get up there, you could see people saying like, oh, I'm on the list, and, you know, trying to con and bribe their way back there. And he's checking the list and saying, no, get out of the way, and he's pushing people back. So finally I get up there with my ID, and he checked for my name, and he verified my name was on the clipboard. So he just, you know, immediately says, you know, who you bringing? And I was like, I'm bringing her, Sheena, and my boyfriend. And he was like, you bring one. I was like, I can't bring both. He was not trying to hear nothing. He was like, pick somebody or no one comes back here. So I was like really freaked out. I like looked back at my friend Sheena, and she's like looking at me like, you bringing your girl, right? And I look over at my boyfriend, and he's looking at me the same way, like, you know, you already know the deal. You're gonna pick me because I'm your man. And I was just at a loss. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this guy is making me choose one or the other. And finally he was just like, hurry up. And so I just like kind of put my head down, and I grabbed my boyfriend's hand, and I said, I choose him. And they like rushed us through the back door, or through the backstage door, and shut it. And I don't know, my heart was just like beating so fast because I was just like feeling so bad that I left my girl out there. But at the same time, I was excited to be backstage to see, you know, a celebrity. Finally, Chamillionaire comes in, and you know, everything was just really calm, chill. He was really nice. He smiled a lot, you know. The radio DJ or the radio station had their people taking pictures back there, so he took pictures of us with him, and he you know, just said, you know, how are you doing? Are you enjoying the concert? Yada yada yada. And I pulled out a $20 bill, and I asked him to sign it, which he did. And I actually spent that money not too long after that experience. You know, I was a broke airman in the dorms. What do you expect? But anyway, so yeah, he signed my $20 bill and a little poster for my boyfriend. And yeah, that was that. We kind of just chilled back there for a little bit. The door kept opening and closing from where we came in. I guess, I don't know if the bouncer was just making sure everything was okay from time to time. But every time the bouncer opened the door, I saw a glimpse of my girlfriend standing out there just like, you know, like, hey, like, just looking lost. And I felt so bad, and then the door was shut. And then, you know, every so often the door would open again, and I would see her, and then it was shut. So a few more moments passed, or a few minutes passed, and the door opened again, and she comes through, and the door shuts. And I'm like, wait a minute. Like, I'm just so perplexed. I'm like looking at her in shock, and I'm shocked, and at the same time I'm excited because I'm just like, see, you got back here after all. You know, whatever you do, whatever you said, whatever, you got back here. And, you know, I didn't have to feel bad for the rest of my life. And at the same time, I was just like, you know, but how? But how? So she ends up taking a few pictures, you know, with Chamillionaire. And I didn't have my camera, so all the pictures that were taken were by the radio station. But I just never I checked on a website and stuff like that after, and never saw any of those pictures. So I'm not sure what happened to them. But anyway, so yeah, she takes a few pictures. She gets it autographed by Chamillionaire. Not too long after that, we end up heading back out the door and going home. And we all worked in the hospital, so I didn't hear anything from her for like the rest of the weekend. Monday came, we were all at work. We worked in separate offices, and you could cut the tension with a knife as far as, well, I had anxiety about it, like the whole situation. Like, yeah, that was messed up, but it wasn't my fault. You know, all these things were going through my head, and I just really was worried about how she felt, because I knew I felt bad. And so finally I walked to the office and I explained to her, you know, that I apologized about what happened, but at the same time I was like, see, you got backstage, just like you said, you always get backstage, And she, you know, I asked her if she was mad, and she said, no, I'm just surprised. And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, I'm just surprised that, you know, you chose a guy over your girl, because guys come and go, like friends are usually there to the end. You know, she was like, you know, your little boyfriend could be gone next week, but you know, she was wrong, because he became my husband, you know, a few years later. So yeah, so she wasn't really too salty about it, surprisingly and thankfully, because I was just like so relieved that she wasn't, you know, ready to beat my head in. So yeah, that happened, and then I asked her, you know, how she got back there, and she didn't reveal anything. She just said, I get backstage. That's all she left it at. I didn't, you know, try to get anything else out. I didn't try to get anything else out of her regarding that. But yeah, that's the story of Chamillionaire calling me. I hope you guys liked this story. If you did, give me a big thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, definitely push that subscribe button. And I will see you guys in the next video. Have a great day, a great night, wherever you are. Peace out.